Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskrityam Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire. Hare Krishna, everyone. So today we are going to discuss from second canto, chapter number 3, titled Pure Devotional Service. And last time we actually discussed verse number is 17, and today we'll actually be covering 18 and 19. So we'll be doing two verses, and I'll tell the reason why, because both of them are related. So let me share my screen first and we'll recite the verses. Okay, so let's see. Yeah. So we'll be discussing text 19 actually. Yeah. So this is a verse. So you can see my screen. So start. Swavidvaraha hostrakarai samstuta purusha pashu na yat karna pathopeto jatu nama gadagrajaha. Swavidvaraha hostrakarai samstuta purusha pashu na yat karna pathopeto jatu nama gadagrajaha. Mother?
Hare Krishna.
Swavidvaraha hostrakarai
Swavid varahostra kare
samstuta purusha pashu
samstuta purusha pashu
na yat karna pathopeto
na yat karna patopeto
jatu nama gadagrajaha.
jatu nama gada grajah.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Is that Krisha?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Right. Swavidvaraha hostrakarai
Svavit varahostra kare
samstuta purusha pashu
samstuta purusha pashu
na yat karna pathopeto
nayat karna pathopeto
jatu nama gadagrajaha.
jatu nama gadagraja.
Thank you. Anyone else? One more person would like to chant?
I can try this.
Good.
स्वविज्वराहोस्त्रखरैः संस्तुतः पुरुषः पशुः न यत्कन्नपथोपेतो जातु नामागदाग्रजः.
Thank you. So, what are we discussing? Who is speaking these verses? So, last time we actually discussed that how Suta Goswami, Sukdev Goswami, he's actually answered Parikshit Maharaj's questions. And basically, at the end of first canto, we saw Parikshit Maharaj's questions and then Sukdev Goswami up to this point. So, starting from the second canto, first chapter, first verse, up to few verses before, we see how Sukadev Goswami has answered the question. So, and our main topic that Sukadev Goswami is establishing is what is the highest sadhana, right? So, and he's conclusively pointed out, comparing it with other processes, that how bhakti yoga, and particularly the aspect of bhakti, he's talked of tivra bhakti, like intense devotional service, and also is talked about the aspect of hearing, remembering, chanting. These are the highest sadhana. So he's very conclusively established this point, and after he made this point, then we see how Shaunak Rishi, so we are moving one conversation back, we see how Shaunak Rishi is speaking to Suta Goswami, and he's saying that that, and he basically starts off by saying that we are very eager to hear what other was the discussion between Sukadev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. And why are we eager to hear? Well, he makes the point that, Parikshit Maharaj is a pure devotee of Krishna. Even when he was in his child, he was actually playing with Krishna, serving Krishna, and also Sukadev Goswami. He is such an elevated personality. And when these two pure devotees are coming together and talking, their conversation is certainly worth hearing. So we want to hear more, right? And we can practically relate to this point. Let's say we have two gurus in ISKCON, or like advanced devotees coming together, and they're like, okay, now we are going to have some conversation. And naturally, we would be eager that, devotees who have practiced bhakti for like 50 plus years, who have been in this moment serving Srila Prabhupada for such a long time, decades of service, what is their experience and what topics would they talk about? Naturally, we would be interested to know what are they talking about? What are the deeper aspects of bhakti they are talking about? What is the ras, the nectar of devotion they are actually, discussing and churning? So that's what we would be interested. So similarly, Saunak Rishi is making the point to Suta Goswami that both of them are so exalted. Certainly, their topics are worth hearing. And in connection to that, we discussed last time verse where he actually said, Ayur Harati Vaipumsa, right? Udyan Astam Chayan Aso, that he basically said both by rising and setting of the sun. Everyone's lifespan is decreased except for those who actually hear Hari Katha. When they are engaged in this activity of hearing Hari Katha, then they are actually doing the eternal occupation of the eternal living entity. Like if you see in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada in the introduction, which is very excellent, Prabhupada actually makes the point and he says that what is this Bhakti Yoga? He says we are Sanatan living entities. Sanatan means eternal, right? Sanatan living entities. And what is the highest dharma for us? That should be Sanatan dharma. That means eternal dharma. That dharma is always in all situations, in all circumstances, that dharma, that activity should be, should be done. And what is the personality to whom we are doing? That is the Sanatan Lord. The Lord is eternal. And why are we doing this? To enter into the Sanatan sky. So he's using that Prabhupada so nicely uses that four aspects of Sanatan. He says, we are Sanatan, the Lord is Sanatan, we want to enter the Sanatan sky, right? And then the occupation that will actually give us entrance into the Sanatan sky is Sanatan Dharma. So that eternal Dharma. So when we are hearing Hari Katha, we are actually engaged in that eternal Dharma. And when we are engaged in that eternal Dharma, what is the question of time? Time one way is okay, rising and setting of the sun. Time we say, okay, this day has passed, okay, now Monday's come to the end, tomorrow Tuesday, and so on. But if you're doing something eternally, it's an eternal activity, where is the question of time? Right? So before we go to this verse, I also want to mention that Prabhupada's purport to this verse that we discussed last time is very nice, and we didn't get time to go through certain points in the purport. So I would just like to go back 2 verses, and in the purport just discuss few points, and then we'll come to this verse. Right? So Prabhupada actually in the purport points out that how the human form of life is actually an opportunity for us to progress in our spiritual life. Hence, he actually says the human form of life is a gift by nature, and it's an instrument by which we can actually progress in our spiritual life. And hence, he actually makes the point that the importance of human life is to accelerate our relation. Prabhupada uses the word acceleration, acceleration of devotional service. That means what? At every moment, like when we say we are accelerating a car, what does that mean? We are actually pressing the gas pedal and we are like pressing, 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 pressing. We are continuously accelerating. And Prabhupada is making the point that the time, time we have this human form of life, right, is actually an opportunity that we should continuously be accelerating. We should always be thinking how to increase my service, how to go faster in my devotional path. That should be a constant. And Prabhupada uses this point, acceleration of devotional service. Human form of life is meant for what? Acceleration of devotional service. So a very nice point to meditate, that if we are constant in our devotional service, we are like, okay, we are stagnant, we need to go higher, let's go to the next level. So that's one point that Prabhupada mentions. And then further he actually gives another very nice example. He says, see, when we are sick, we may actually take some medicine. Doctor may say, okay, take this medicine. And we may say, okay, twice a day, doctor may say, okay, take this medicine with water. And we do that, right? Now, if there is something which is very severe, then the doctor will say, okay, you have to get admitted to the hospital. And what the doctors, what they do is they will give the same medicine, maybe a higher dose, but they will give it intravenously. They will actually put it directly into our blood system. They'll put it directly into our arteries. So it goes all over the blood, right? It's the same medicine, but it is actually going so much more faster because it's going directly through the arteries into the entire blood. So Prabhupada is comparing this and he says, as a highly potent drug injected intravenously at once acts on the whole body, similarly, when we hear Hari Katha through our ears of particularly spoken by the pure devotee, that is just like that medicine that would immediately spread all over our body. So similarly, in comparison here, that would immediately purify our entire consciousness, right? Just like you're putting that IV, the medicine is going all through the body. Similarly, hearing Harikatha, our entire consciousness is actually purified, right? So Prabhupada says, oral realization of these spiritual topics implies total realization. Such a nice point that if you want to really realize the spiritual, like one is theoretically we understand topics, but if you really want to realize this, then you have to give oral reception to a pure devotee, and by that oral reception, complete absorption, that will actually purify our entire consciousness. So second example here, right? So first example was that of acceleration, second example is that of medicine, right? Now Prabhupada gives a third example. And he says, he quotes Shastra and he says that, when you give money in charity, like in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks of charity given in mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance, right? Now, Prabhupada says, now money when you give in charity, and let's say you give it to a non-Brahmana, right? The person who has no Brahmanical qualification. Then the Shastras make the point that because you're doing that charity, and you're giving it to a non-Brahmana, then maybe next time when the charity, the result of the charity, the pious activity, the result is given, then it will be almost the same amount. Like it's like just like equal. Oh, you gave it, same proportion you'll get back. But if you give charity to a person who is a half-educated Brahmana, right? So first is not a Brahmana. Second is half-educated Brahmana. And what does he say? If you give in charity to half-educated Brahmana, then you'll get double the money. Now, further higher, if you give charity to a person who is learned and fully qualified Brahmana, then you will get that return hundreds and thousands of times. Right? So this is level number 3. Level number 4. If you give charity to a person who is Veda Paraga, that means who has factually realized the conclusion of all the Vedas, right? Whether it's a Sarver Aham Eva Vedya, who's come to the point, who's a devotee, who's practicing devotion to Krishna, who has that bhakti to Krishna, if you give him charity, then the result is multiplied unlimited times. Right? Now, one way we say, like, why are we talking about charity and different levels of charity? Prabhupada compares this and says, similarly, like when you give money to a pure devotee, then the result is unlimited, multiplied unlimited time. Similarly, when you give your attention to a pure devotee, that result of the attention will be obtained unlimited times, right? Unlimited times. So even our hearing of Harikatha, it depends on from whom we are hearing. If you are hearing from pure devotee, maximum unlimited result, right? So this entire verse Prabhupada gives 3 examples. First is acceleration, second is medicine, and third is the example of charity to make the point that hearing from the pure devotee, that return is actually unlimited. It is uncomparable what result we get by hearing from a pure devotee. Okay, so those 3 very, very good examples. So I want to cite that. And then after that, still now we have Shaunak Rishi continuing, and he still wants to make his case that, oh, Suta Goswami, don't stop. Please continue hearing. Please continue hearing. And now in text 19, in today's verse, he actually says, he is actually making the point, and he's saying that those who do not hear Harikatha, right, those who waste their time not hearing Harikatha, what is their situation, right? So today's verse, if you see the screen, it says Swa. Swa means actually dog, a dog, So swa means a dog, right? Vid means vidvaraha actually. Vidvaraha means actually a hog. A hog would eat stool, right? So a dog, a hog. Then ustra. Ustra means a camel. And Karaihi means an ass. I mean, like what kind of Bhagavatam verse is this? It's talking of dog, hog, camel, ass. You know? And we may, if you have heard in Prabhupada lectures, sometimes you may hear Prabhupada saying, "Oh, material civilization is just like a dog, hog, camel, and asses." Where is Prabhupada getting that? This verse. Okay, so these four, and then further, what does it say? Samstuta Purusha Pashu. Right? Pashu means animal, Purusha means man, and Samstuta means perfectly praised. Sorry. Okay. I'll continue and then I'll connect all these words together. Then further, it actually na yat karna pathopeta. If someone with his ear karna pathopeta, he's not giving patha. Patha means like path, right? And then jatu nama kadagraja. So if you see line 3 and line 4, someone who is not using his ears to hear what Jatu Nam. Nam means a holy name. Gadagraja. Gadagraja is another name for Krishna. Gadagraja means one who actually frees one from all kinds of sins. Like how Bhagavad Gita Krishna says, Sarva dharma paritaja mam ekam sharanam vraja. So that a person who can free us from all evils, all sins, that name is Gadagraja. Right? Another meaning is Gada means one who holds a Gada. Right? So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually makes this point. Gada Graja means if he who appears in front of sickness as its enemy. So if someone is holding a Gada and then Krishna comes in front of him, then there is no question that that person could even win. So if our sins are as strong as a Gada, but in front of Krishna, there is no chance. Krishna will come and he'll clear out all our sins and evil. So Gadagraja is the name of Krishna. So line 3 and line 4 is basically saying the one who does not use his ear to hear the name and activities of Gadagraja, Lord Shri Krishna himself, then what does he do? He will actually, here it says samstuta, he will praise. He will praise men who are like dogs, hogs, camel, and asses. Right? So why it's like this? One way you may say like, that seems so strong. It's saying like those who don't hear the holy name of Krishna, those who don't hear Hari Katha, they will praise men who are like these four animals. Why? Right? And why these four animals? Why not any other animals? Right? So Prabhupada explains very nicely in the purport. Now, let's for a moment just with an unbiased thinking, let's see these four animals. Right? Let's say first a dog. Now, a dog, and in America, the situations of dogs are different because they get so much opulence. They are fed by people who are earning hundreds of thousands of dollars. They are taken care of them. But in general, a dog is a person who, let's say in India, we may have like a dog who has no master. He will go to different houses and then he'll stand in front of the house. He'll bark. He'll like, oh, please give me some food. I need some food. House to house, he's going in the hope that someone will feed the dog. Right? Now, if you see our current civilization, Prabhupada actually compares that how our education now, materialistic education, like let's say we study, we pass a 10th grade, go to university, get a degree, get masters, PhD, and after that, what is the situation? I mean, it is if you really like an unbiased way you think about it. I mean, practically, I have this experience that after PhD, postdoc, then what do you have to do? You have to go to different companies and beg, please give me a job. And in this Bhagavatam verse is saying that what is the difference? A street dog is going house to house begging for food, and we have to go to other places and beg for, please give me a job. And especially this time, we don't need to talk more about this. Like, you lose a job and it's so hard to get another job. You have to beg literally. And why? If you have a human form of life, why should we be begging like dogs? So that's the first. Second one is vid. Vidvara. That means an hog, right? And here, if you see our current civilization, what do people eat? Now I don't want to talk too much about like the kinds of non-vegetarian things they eat, but some of the items they eat is so disgusting. They'll eat pigs and certain parts of pigs, and then and there's like a saying that some people they eat everything that flies except airplanes, everything that's in water except a submarine. That is their consciousness. What are they eating? I mean, so degraded. Like, they eat anything like a pig and parts of pigs. Like, very horrible. This is our current civilization, right? And Prabhupada talks about this. So, though we have this human form of life, what are we living like? Just like hogs. Hogs, what do? They eat stool. We are eating such abominable things, just like stool, right? So, second point. And this is heavy, but this, as I said, with an unbiased mind, you see the current civilization compared to Vedic standard, compared to what standard we can live, you know, what is this current civilization, right? So second is pig, hog, right? Third is what? Ustra. Ustra means camel. Now it is said that camels, they actually, in the desert, they don't have many times they find is thorns. And that's the only thing. So they'll take thorn and they'll be chewing thorns. It's interesting. Camels, they chew thorns. But when they're chewing thorns, what happens? Because the thorns are so sharp, it actually cuts their own tongue, you know. And because of the cut, then blood, oozes. And then the camel is eating this thorns, which is so hard. But because it's mixed with his own blood, it says, oh, nice, tasty. That's how camels, when they eat thorns. And then why our current civilization is compared to camels? Because, now for the sake of enjoyment, we say, no, no, I have to work 16 to 18 hours every day so that I can enjoy life. I mean, and people do that, right? I mean, I was once on book distribution, and I met this doctor, and I think very well recognized doctor, and I was giving him Bhagavad Gita, and he was saying like, he came, when I approached him, he said like, I have really no time, and he was telling me his schedule that he was working like 15, 16 hours as a doctor, and he has to attend calls like at the midnight. He gets a pager and a message, and then he has to go to the hospital, take care of patient. And why all this? Just so that we can enjoy some money? So we are spending our blood, our whole day, our life and energy just so that we can enjoy, and this is like the camel enjoying that blood when he's eating thorns, right? And the last one is Kharahi. Kharahi means an ass, right? And why is human civilization, current materialistic civilization, compared to an ass? Because a donkey, like, how does a donkey, what does a donkey do? The master will say, carry this heavy load. If you don't carry it, no grass for you. But Prabhupada often makes this point in the lecture, but grass is everywhere. Does a donkey really have to work so hard to get grass? No, it can have grass anywhere, right? And similarly, the point is made with the current civilization. Actually, if we have that Shraddha, that faith, that Krishna will maintain me, Krishna will protect me. And these are two aspects of surrender. If that faith is there, then Krishna will take care of us. He will arrange something. We don't have to work like asses so hard, carrying that heavy load just so that we can get little food. And finally, like, you earn millions of dollars or you earn hundreds of thousands of dollars. Whatever is your scale of earning, finally at the end of the day, you can eat not more than 3 chapatis. Prabhupada makes this point, So why work so hard? So I know this is like heavy, but this is really like an eye-opening verse. This is our current material civilization. And this verse is actually making the point that if we are not hearing Krishna Katha, if we are not hearing the holy name of Krishna, then we are just praising people who are like these four, right? Because see, the nature of the spirit soul is we want to glorify someone. That kirtan is the nature of the soul, right? So if people are not glorifying Krishna, who will they glorify? They'll glorify, oh, this Hollywood star, she did this, and then she's wearing this. And recently I was seeing some news article about some Hollywood stars, like her used purse was there was an auction and someone bought it for like millions of like $1 million or something. And I was like, how ridiculous is that? Like, right? So if we don't praise Krishna, then we praise people like, these Hollywood stars, or we may praise some pop singer or this. And nature is to praise, you know. So this verse is saying that if we don't hear Krishna, then we will naturally praise these people, and hence Shaunak Rishi is making the point that please don't stop speaking Harikatha. Please just keep speaking Harikatha. We want our ears to be filled with this Jatu Nama Gadagraja. Because if it is not, then because of our materialist tendency, we'll start glorifying people who are like these four animals. Okay? Okay, so we'll just quickly summarize. So we started off by going to the previous verse, which was Ayur Hariti Vaipumsam, and we made the point that Prabhupada gives three wonderful examples, and we talked of acceleration of devotional service. We talked about second topic was um, um, that the medicine, right? How medicine, IV, when you take a medicine through IV, it goes all through the body. Similarly, hearing from pure devotees is just like giving them medicine to our entire consciousness, second. And the third example we gave was that of charity. You give charity, you give it to the most qualified person, the return is unlimited. Similarly, you give your attention to the most qualified pure devotee, to that extent we'll get purified, right? Then we came to this verse, we talked about these four animals, and then we said how Shaunak Rishi is just saying, Suta Goswami, please don't stop speaking Krishna Katha. Our ears need to hear that. If you stop, we'll start glorifying people who are in the material civilization. Okay, let's stop here. So let's see if anyone has any question. I said that we would do two verses, but I think we just have time for this one verse. And then tomorrow I'll just touch upon the other, and we'll move further to the next chapter tomorrow, chapter number 4. Okay. Does anyone have any questions? Sure. I mean, this is how Bhagavatam is telling Avatar. And Bhagavatam is one way waking us up. Consider this. Is this the civilization we want to live in? Or do we want to select devotee association, where we are in association of devotees, and then we come, we have nice Krishna prasadam, we chant, we dance, we hear Krishna katha, and we really experience life. This is life. Otherwise, what are we doing? Right? So, okay. Okay, if there are no questions, we'll stop here. So thank you all so much for your association. Thank you for joining, and we'll continue tomorrow with a verse, another beautiful verse from the 4th chapter of the 2nd canto. Thank you for your association. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya, Kripa Sindhubhya evacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namah. Thank you all so much for joining. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu, again
Thank
for
you,
such a
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
wonderful,
Thank you for joining. Hare Krishna.
wonderful verse, especially the acceleration. I was thinking if we all can, put that like, on the car, we accelerate, right? Like that, even our bhakti also, if it accelerates in that way, it is so good to see everybody going in this way, straight.
Wonderful.
No,
Prabhupada's like,
nothing, and
in
yeah.
purport, like every word is so like,
Yeah, that
yeah,
that word
unexpected.
was really amazing. This is the first time I was like, getting it. Oh wow, this is really nice because that's how he did it. He didn't wanted us to walk at a snail pace to explore all the things. He has opened the shortcut and gateway straight away. Just going this way rather than going and exploring across the entire dimensions.